WTF is going on in Wisconsin? Welcome, we are True Crime and Wine Couple, and today we're going to talk about a WTF case out of Wisconsin because we would like to do a series titled WTF Cases. So today we are going to talk about and show clips of the trial of Nicolae Miu. He was 54 years old and he was born in Romania. He moved to the United States, well, he is 54, I should say. He moved to the United States at age 15, and he became a mechanical engineer, and he lived in, at the time of the crime, Prior Lake, Minnesota. In 2020, he had a quadruple bypass surgery, and I can't talk today, after having a heart attack. So the incident occurred on July 30th of 2022, and Nick was tubing on the Apple River in Somerset, Wisconsin, along with a party of 10 people. There were 10 people in Nick's party. Okay. At 3:47 p.m. on that day, multiple calls were made to 911 to report a stabbing attack. 17-year-old Isaac Schumann was killed, and there were 4 more knife injuries. And these injuries were sustained by Riley Madison, Dante Carlson, Tony Carlson, and AJ Martin. At 4:45 p.m. that day, so not much longer after the video, about an hour after, Nick was arrested. Okay, so here's what Nick claims happened. And what we're going to do is we're going to show the beginning of the clip of the altercation. So this is what Nick's wife testified at trial, which is still going on today, but you know, they're into the trial, so it has begun. So Nick's wife testified that he was looking for a cell phone that a member of his party lost. They didn't say whose cell phone it was. So what he did was he went to the area where the teens were in search of the phone because the phone had allegedly floated downstream, okay? So he walked away and he went back a second time to search for the phone. Now it's really strange in the video because he's just kind of like reaching around the teens.
He looks like he's clearly looking for something.
He does.
I mean, he's like moving around and looking under. And, he's definitely in their space. He's definitely being weird.
Strange, like, yeah. He's not speaking to them. He's not saying, hey, I lost a cell phone. Can you help me?
Right.
He's just all of a sudden searching around these kids. So, well, and they said that some were teenagers and some actually were adults. So they called them teens throughout the trial, but some of them were legally adults.
You could tell in the video that there was some.
There were some adults, right?
Some older.
And some adults had testified as well that were with the teens. So anyway, so he's looking around. It's strange. Obviously you saw the clip, right? Okay. So he goes back and looks for the phone a second time, and that's when the teens started hitting him. They called him offensive names, and they attacked him with a knife, which he took away from them. The teens told officials that they yelled for help because Nick was bothering him, and they said they told him to leave, and they claimed he punched or slapped a woman who confronted him. And he was then knocked down into the river where he produced a knife with a 3-inch blade and began stabbing people. And then someone recorded the video at 3:44 p.m. that was in the river. And we're going to show more of the clip.
Whoa! 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 Get away! Oh God! Be up! Be up! What are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about? What? Get away from us! What? What are you doing? What's going on with y'all homie? He's on camera. Guys, let's tripping.
So this is what Nick's wife testified at trial, which is still going on today, but you know, they're into the trial, so it has begun. So Nick's wife testified that he was looking for a cell phone that a member of his party lost. They didn't say whose cell phone it was. So what he did was he went to the area where the teens were in search of the phone because the phone had allegedly floated downstream. Okay, So he walked away and he went back a second time to search for the phone. Now it's really strange in the video because he's just kind of like reaching around the teens.
He looks like he's clearly looking for something.
He does.
I mean, he's like
but
moving
he's
around
in their
and looking
space.
under. He's definitely in their space. He's definitely being weird.
Strange,
like,
yeah. He's not speaking to them. He's not saying, "Hey, I lost a cell phone. Can you help me?"
Right.
He's just all of a sudden searching around these kids. So, well, and they said that some are teenagers and some actually were adults. So they called them teens throughout the trial, but some of them were legally adults.
You could tell in the video that there was some.
There were some adults, right?
Some older.
And some adults had testified as well that were with the teens. So anyway, so he's looking around. It's strange. Well, obviously you saw the clip, right? Okay. So he goes back and looks for the phone a second time, and that's when the teens started hitting him. They called him offensive names, and they attacked him with a knife, which he took away from them. The teens told officials that they yelled for help because Nick was bothering him, and they said they told him to leave, and they claimed he punched or slapped a woman who confronted him. And he was then knocked down into the river where he produced a knife with a 3-inch blade and began stabbing people. And then someone recorded the video at 3:44 p.m. that was in the river. And we're going to show more of the clip. Okay, so in the video, Nick is seen putting his goggles in his mouth and grabbing the tubes as if searching for something, which we already said, but he did that twice.
Right.
Right? Well, not the goggles, but the searching.
Yeah.
So yeah, he continues searching, he walks away, and then he turns around and says something while pointing at the group. And the group taunts him, they tell him to go away, they say he claimed to be looking for young girls, which I don't believe for a minute.
No.
There's
and you can tell by the video that these kids were. There was an officer that said they showed no signs of impairment while they're walking around with beer, and they're being loud and obnoxious. They're being teenagers. They're being loud and obnoxious,
Right.
and they're thinking they're funny, and they're showing off to the girls. And
That's really interesting that they said they weren't impaired, because one of the witnesses that testified was specifically described as a sober witness.
yeah,
You know?
leaving you to believe that the rest of them were not so sober.
And they had questioned other people as to how much they had to drink, and one girl said, and she was this tiny little girl, said that she had like 5 drinks in a matter of 3 hours. So,
Yeah.
come on. Anyway, okay, so, they taunted him. He was confronted face to face by 2 women, at which point he got the knife with an open blade, and he was holding it by his side, which you can see in the video if you watch the whole video. We're showing clips. It's freely available, right? If you want to
Yeah,
watch
the whole video's out there. We're not showing the whole thing because it does get into the stabbing part of it, and I didn't think that was.
It's pretty
appropriate.
graphic,
Yeah,
yes.
so we're just showing the 2 main parts, but the clip, the video isn't that long. It's only a little over 3 minutes.
This went down quick.
Yeah. It really fast.
Okay, so, he was pushed into the water. He was holding the knife by his side, and then he was pushed into the water. Someone hit him with a hand in the side of his head, and you can clearly see this in the video. So this definitely happened. Okay, so Nick gets up to his feet, and they shoved him back into the water. And the person who did that was identified as A.J. Martin. Okay, A.J. Martin advanced on him, but A.J. Martin testified that he was only pushing his shoulder to get his attention and to
Which
get
at
him
one
to stop.
point he was pushing his shoulder, but at other points he was
He's
pushing
in the
him.
water,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it looks like he's pushing him down.
Yeah.
So
He
at
was pushed
that
down a couple times.
At that point, AJ gets stabbed. Okay, AJ was the one whose intestines were protruding from his abdomen, and someone testified he's holding his intestines in his hands, and he truly was. When he stood up at trial, if you watch the trial, and he showed he showed the wound. I mean, it was his whole abdomen, and it was a big, jagged, it looked kind of like a reverse Z.
Yeah.
The whole of this dude's abdomen. I mean, he was cut.
The doctor testified that he died. He died on the way to the hospital.
Okay, and
I
then
mean,
they
brought him back.
revived him,
yeah,
right?
They revived him, but he was dead there for a little while.
Madison Cohen also claimed that Nick struck her, which started the altercation. Now, this is interesting because Nick was holding something in his right hand, which Madison claimed he struck her with. So how is he going to strike her while he's holding something in his hand? So can you believe that testimony? Probably not.
And looking at the video, and we're assuming that the video that we're seeing is the whole thing, and it seems like it is because you're seeing it from the beginning and you're seeing it from the stabbing, and there was no cuts or, it was straight through. So I did not see him strike anybody. Now, he did get close to a couple women. I mean, they were right up next to each other, but I did not see
It seemed like the women were provoking him, not the other way around.
Exactly.
I mean, and you could clearly see the blood in the water.
Yeah.
So you knew the stabbing had occurred, but you don't really, I mean, you can see the stabbing, but it's kind of, it's very confusing, the video. But I mean, you see the blood in the water. If you miss the stabbing.
The whole tone of the video changes immediately. It's like it goes from them taunting him, calling him names, laughing. It's just a big old joke to, oh my God.
It went from maniacal laughing to holy crap.
Yeah.
In
a heartbeat.
Like that, right? Okay. So now so after all this goes down, the cops show up. They send the injured people to the hospital, everything. So Nick is questioned, and he tells police that the teens called him the offensive names,
which they did,
took his snorkel, attempted to pull down his swimsuit, which that is not corroborated by the video.
Yeah, I did not see that. I didn't see that part
either.
In the video.
No, and you don't really see the names in the video. You just tell them. You just see them going, leave, right? That's basically what you see and hear in the video. I should say here.
No, you can hear them.
Oh, you can hear him? Okay.
That he's there looking for girls. And,
oh, okay. I must have missed that part of the video. Okay. He did the clip. I did the background.
No, you can hear that in there.
Okay. So Nick then went into defensive mode at this point, took a knife from one of the tubers and was swinging it in the air, and he said he did not make contact with anyone. He claimed he had his own knife but didn't bring it into the river, and we find out that was not the case. He did bring the knife into the river. He had the knife with him to cut ropes. So I don't know if the tubes were tied up or
the river, and it was just a pot. It wasn't like it was a big hunt knife. It was a pocket knife.
The dude must have had some good upper body strength to make that cut with that little tiny knife.
Unless it was really sharp.
That's true. Okay, so after this whole incident, Nick goes back to his party and acts like nothing happened. He didn't tell them what happened because he claimed that he didn't want to exacerbate the problem and have his party confront the other people. And we should also state that the attack started out with just, what was it, like a handful of people, and then became a lot more people.
Yeah, there seemed to be people coming in from the shore, the edge of the river.
Right, and there were also people on shore that testified, and they thought that Nick wasn't the aggressor. Nick was being taunted.
And then after it happened, then people that were on the river were going to help the victims.
Right.
They weren't sure what was going on. Right. That was kind of a weird testimony. That husband and wife was kind of strange.
Yeah,
she just jumped off and started running to the shore. He's like, he didn't know what the hell was going on. He didn't know if she was running into danger or what was going on. I don't know.
It was a huge cluster, basically.
Huge, yeah. So, as you can imagine.
Nikolai is being charged with 1 count of intentional first-degree homicide and 4 counts of attempted homicide, and the trial is currently being held. So that is basically what we have gleaned from the video, what we've watched of the trial so far. In the beginning, when I started watching the trial and, my time was limited and I saw certain people testify, I could not figure out what the heck was going on. So I had to go watch a bunch of more videos, and, we watched the video together, and then we prepared this together.
Right.
But it was very difficult to follow. So if you are following it and you're confused, so was I.
So what are your feelings on it?
My feeling is that, all right, so here's me. I never feel one way or the other. Someone died, someone almost died. I mean, AJ definitely suffered, from
And he
from that
probably
injury.
will for the rest of his life.
Yeah. So, but I don't believe. And here's the problem. I think the whole thing could have been avoided if Nikolai had walked up to them and spoke to them. I think as a teenage girl or, a young woman, you're going to have a 54-year-old man walking up to you and searching around your tube. You're probably going to get freaked out.
And he was definitely creepy about it.
I
mean,
don't know if he was creepy.
Well,
it was
it's kind of creepy as an older
right?
man going up to a bunch of teenagers and just start moving their tubes and looking under them.
Yeah, that's true.
And not saying anything.
Right, and I could see where maybe they, came up with he was looking for girls because he was doing that to the women, but they made that up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So I think what happened was, everybody was drunk. You got that whole mob mentality. The guy did something strange that they perceived to be a threat, possibly.
But that's the thing. They did not perceive it as a threat.
You think even the females didn't?
No, they were all just laughing at him and dude, what are you doing? What are you doing? And they're just, they were not threatened even a little bit.
Okay.
They were just being asses.
Speaking from my own experience, if that were me and I was on the tube and he started digging around, well, I would be like, dude, WTF, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But nobody ever says that. They just start.
Well, they do say, dude, what are you doing?
But
go
they
away.
do it in like a mob mentality,
in the
fight way.
Yeah, in the
Coercive
alpha
way.
male
Right.
showing off to the females and
Right.
just being jerks. That's what they were doing.
So I'm on the fence about this one. I think it should be like manslaughter, in my opinion. It should not be first-degree intentional homicide. I think that someone should pay for the crime because a very young boy, a 17-year-old boy lost his life. But by the same token, I do believe that this man was coerced into this, and he did fear for, I don't know about his life, but he feared he was going to get hurt, in my opinion, and he acted accordingly. But I do believe he should be guilty of something. I just don't believe it's intentional first-degree homicide. So
Yeah.
what do you think? And the other 4 counts, I don't think they're attempted murder. I think that they should maybe be. AJ may be
intentional
attempted homicide.
And I think that's going to save him. At least if I was on the jury. Now, looking at the video, yes, he was creepy. Yes, he could have walked away. That he did walk away, and then he came back.
Mm-hmm.
But he never provoked them. He never attacked them. He never yelled at them. He was never calling them.
He just didn't do what they told him to do.
He was just being weird.
And he didn't need to do what they told him to do. It's a public place.
Exactly.
He didn't need to leave.
So, and then coming from me, who is deathly afraid of drowning and not being able to breathe and all that other weird stuff that I have going on in my head, if that were me, I would have been scared to death. Because they did push him down into the water a couple times, and it did a couple times look like they were coming after him to actually push his head under the water. I think I think in his head he did feel threatened, and it was self-defense. With that being said, again, he could have walked away and avoided the whole thing. So that's against him. The other thing that's against him is him lying.
Right.
You shouldn't have lied. Just tell them what happened.
Exactly.
So that's going to be against him. But I think the biggest thing he has going for him are these charges. Why are they doing intentional first-degree homicide and intentional attempted homicide?
Well, he also
You're right.
has
It
the
should
video.
be manslaughter. It should be something, or even a lower degree of homicide.
Right.
But there was nothing intentional about this. He did not walk over there with the thought of, I'm going to go kill somebody.
Right.
No, I'm going over to look for my phone and be weird, but that was about the extent of it. So if I was on the jury, knowing, and again, this is just me, just knowing what I know from watching what's happened up to this point, and actually see, and the video is kind of nice to have because you pretty much see the whole interaction from beginning to end. So there's no discrepancy there. You can see exactly what happened. So with that being said, I think I would find him not guilty of these charges.
Okay.
Not saying that he's not guilty, but I don't think he's guilty of these charges.
Yeah, it's another thing too. If there wasn't the video, it would be, he said, she said.
If there
and
wasn't a video, he'd be screwed.
Right, because
He'd
it
be
would
totally
be over
screwed.
a dozen people
Yeah.
against
And none of his
him.
party was there to see it.
Right.
So there would be nobody there backing up
Right,
his story.
exactly. Yeah. So without the video,
he'd
he would have been
totally
more screwed. Yeah, for sure. But the video definitely, to me, is exculpatory for him.
Yeah, I believe so too. And these charges are just, they're over the top.
Right.
And I think that might be his saving grace.
Yeah, because I mean, that's a lot of counts. You've got, what, 4 attempted murder, 1, attempted, intentional. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, and it's interesting that that this is going on at the same time that the Crumbleys are being sentenced today.
Yes.
Jennifer and James Crumbly, and this is kind of interesting too because they're being charged with not intentional manslaughter, and this to me is kind of a similar thing here.
Yeah. To me, it's not that there was nothing intentional about it, so it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
And I think it was a group of kids that tried to do the whole cancel culture thing. This guy's looking for little girls, let's taunt him, let's get him canceled, let's get him kicked off the river, let's, cause a ruckus here.
Yeah.
And they obviously got a lot more than they bargained for because they didn't bargain on this dude,
No.
defending himself. So it'll be really interesting to see how this one plays out. Like you said, the problem is the charges.
I think
if
so.
it had been, involuntary manslaughter, it would have been a slam dunk in my opinion, don't you
Yeah,
think?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's definitely guilty of something, but he's not guilty of an intentional first-degree homicide.
Right, or 4 counts.
Or intentional
attempted homicide.
homicide.
Yeah, so had it been, like I said, manslaughter and attempted manslaughter, he probably would have,
Now, for all you lawyers out there, is the prosecution able to add charges on during the trial? Like, in other words, if they see that this is maybe not going as well as they had hoped, can they add manslaughter, or can they add lesser charges to I don't know the answer to that.
Well,
Because if they can, they probably should do that.
We might need to do a little legal school. Well, I guess what we could do is, after the trial's done and the outcome is out, we'll do an update.
Yeah.
So then we can maybe delve into that a little
Okay,
bit.
sounds
Maybe
good.
that'll change. So.
Right.
So that is the Apple River trial. It is going on. You can watch it on Court TV. You can watch it on any of the other major networks that show the trial. It's really interesting. You can watch the video, and we'd love to hear your opinion. Leave us a comment. Please like. Please subscribe. Like we said, we're working hard. So if you'd like to see us cover some content, let us know. And normally we have wine, but today we are running a bunch of errands that include a medical appointment, so there's no wine today.
There will be no wine. So there's Dunkin' Donuts and Diet Ginger Ale. That's what we're working on today.
That's the Apple River stabbing, one of our WTF crimes. We are a true crime and wine couple, and we'll catch you on the flip side in the next video.